So now we are doing a motor swap on this 335i. This is not only just a 335i, but this is a 335is. So this one has the infamous 6-bolt engine, not 8-bolt. So if you're trying to DCT swap your car and you want it all to fit OEM, there's 6 bolts on this crank, on this block. So if you buy a DCT swap, you're gonna have to get a flywheel for an 8-bolt if you get an 8-bolt engine. But anyways, this is the motor, famous N54. And that's a 335is. It looks beautiful with this wrap. So the first steps is disconnect the battery because we don't want to short circuit anything, so positive negative off the battery. Then we have to disconnect all these plastics. So they're a bunch of 8mm bolts that go from the top cowl. Then those clip off. Then we're going to remove this. These are 5mm bolts. These are T20s. Then take off the charge pipe. And we're going to go ahead, since we don't like to scratch anything or break anything, we're just going to take the front end off. And then since we are doing a intercooler install, we're going to cut whatever needs to be cut outside so we don't damage or cut any AC lines or condenser and anything. But let's get bam. So I highly recommend it. Ziploc bags. So you're wondering why? Put the fucking bolts in it. That's why. So we don't lose anything, we're gonna put everything in bags. Quick tip. Forward about 30 minutes later, we have pretty much some of the front end stuff off. We're gonna take off the radiator, AC condenser, move the oil cooler for the power steering along to the side, take the intercooler off. Quick update, we pretty much took everything out already. We're gonna pull the motor out. So pretty much disconnect the belt housing bolts and pull the trans from the motor. Replacements there, we're gonna clean it up a little bit. For the most part, everything's pretty much almost disconnected. Just gotta pull it out now. We just finished removing all the harnesses and everything. Next, we gotta disconnect the trans from the motor. From there, we're gonna pull it out. Right before we do all that though, we're gonna service this engine real quick. We're gonna change the valve cover gasket, the oil pan gasket, the oil filter housing gaskets. There goes your old engine, I just pulled it out. We're getting ready to take the turbos off. I have the motor on this little, it's like a little cart, but I strapped it down so it shouldn't tip over. It's held on by the motor mount. Exactly how they brought it on the pallet, we have it stance the same way. So we just removed the oil pan on this N54. It's right there, it looks nice and shiny. So we're just gonna clean up the surface and then apply the new gasket. Have right here. And swap the bolts, put everything back together. Definitely much easier working on the valve cover outside of the motor. So if you haven't done the valve cover before, there's a couple bolts you gotta take off. There's 3 ground bolts here for the harness. All of them are, well, these are a 10mm socket, but for these ones, these are E10s. There's quite a few. So let me get this thing off real quick. So there goes the valve cover, we took it off. This engine looks very clean. It looks well taken care of, whoever had this engine in their car before. It's looking pretty clean right now. We swapped out both of the gaskets. Oil pan. And then the valve cover gasket. And now we're going to do the oil filter housing gasket. we have completed everything. So the valve cover is installed, oil pan, coil pack, spark plugs, injectors. Pretty much replaced all the seals, top and bottom, and the oil filter housing gasket. We installed the inlets with the engine out and the turbos, of course. So everything is secured, inlets are installed, clamped down, everything is torque to spec. I'm trying to clean it as best as possible. It was a little dirty still, but we left it pretty clean. Rear inlet, everything's no leaks from here. So put it back in. There's no codes, car's running great. So we actually just got another engine dropped off. We're gonna do another engine swap. So that's this one right here. This old one's right there on the floor, just chilling. There's a rear subframe we did not too long ago on my 335 IS. But yeah, the car's not smoking. It's running great. There's no engine codes like whatsoever. I just scanned it. It's idling great. We put Index 12 injectors on it. NGK spark plugs. Got them at 0.022. New Delphi coils, downpipes installed. Pretty much we swapped over the turbo. Well, we did an engine swap, so everything had to come over from the last car. We switched all the gaskets, oil pan, the valve cover gasket. Pretty much ready. We just gotta refill back the AC and then pretty much ready. That's all done. It's driving now. So that wraps up this job. We did it pretty quick, I would say. Start to finish. AC is working too, so. And then there's no lights on the dash, it's traction control. That's a service light for fluids or brake light or something. But it's running great. There's no smoke, it's not knocking. The car's ready to go. So we're just gonna go park it now. Here's a little quick pull in your car. Everything's running great.